Welcome to the People's House with Congresswoman McCollum, a discussion of the important issues in Washington, D.C. and Minnesota that affect all of us.
I was sent to Congress to fight for equality and justice for Minnesota families and all American families. Today, in Minnesota, conservation is common sense. As a member of Congress, Minnesotans hold me accountable. I do support fair and...
And now, here's Congresswoman McCollum.
Hi, I'm Betty, and welcome to today's program. Since we did our last cable show, there's been redistricting, and so now I'm very pleased to represent all of Ramsey County and the best parts of Washington County, which pretty much go from Stillwater to Woodbury. So welcome, and I think you're going to like today's program. I continue to serve on the House Appropriations Committee, and the subcommittees that I have deal with the Department of Defense and the Department of Interior. The Department of Interior has a very special obligation as part of its charge, and that is the Bureau of Indian Affairs. In Minnesota, we are very proud to have 11 tribal reservations, and with us today are some of the youth of our country. You know, residents in Minnesota, students who are really working hard to do the best that they can. The reason why we're having the discussion today is, you know, a lot of people don't understand the responsibility that the federal government has to Native American people. You know, when the treaties were signed with sovereign nations, one of the obligations that we undertook as the United States was the health and the education of Native Americans. And we have not done as good a job as we could as a nation. But we're working together in partnership, very bipartisanly I might add, in the Interior Committee to not only help with healthcare issues in Indian country, but to raise the standards and to help Native American children do their best. But the school you're going to hear about today in the Leech Lake tribal area, you know, is not meeting expectations. The students are, but we're not as a federal government. And so we're going to talk about the conditions at the reservation school, some of the things we can do better for not only the children of Minnesota, but the children all across this country in Indian country. And I know, and I'll say this as a mom, we can do better in our own public schools in Minnesota, but we're always seeking improvement. So today, we're going to talk with our future leaders about how we can work in partnership, the federal government and the tribal governments, to create more opportunity for tomorrow's leaders. So I'm going to start out with the introductions, and I'm going to have you folks introduce yourself so you get comfortable speaking on camera, and you won the draw.
Okay. Hi, my name is Marissa Wind, and I'm a senior at the Bug-O-Nay-Ge-Shig High School.
You're going to have to say that name again.
Marissa Wind.
At?
The Bug-O-Nay-Ge-Shig High School.
Bug-O-Nay-Ge-Shig High School. It took me a while to get my tongue around that. It's a really cool name for a school. Do you know what it means?
Hole in the day.
Hole in the day. Raymond?
My name is Ray Ogama, and I'm a senior at the Bug-O-Nay-Ge-Shig High School.
Hello, my name's Nandanis Robinson. I'm a junior at the Bug-O-Nay-Ge-Shig School.
And one of the things about going to a school at Leech Lake is you're learning tradition, culture, along with all the other subjects everybody else in high school is dealing with in Minnesota and all across the country. But you have some challenges. How long does it take you to get to school?
30 minutes.
30 minutes? So you're on a bus?
Yeah.
30 minutes one way?
Yeah.
And pretty rural roads, would you say?
Yeah, I live on a dirt road, so 15 minutes on a dirt road and then 15 minutes through town every day.
Every day? You have about the same amount that you travel?
More like an hour to an hour and a half.
An hour and a half. Round trip or one way?
One way.
One way. And I bet that's not a good bus for studying on.
Nope.
So you're not getting your homework done during the bus ride.
No.
You're bouncing around in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the time we get up.
And the time you get up. So you're pretty exhausted by the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I take about 20 minutes to get to school from Bug Club.
So not so bad for you, but a lot of your classmates, you know that they've already been up for an hour longer than you have when they get up in the morning to do things.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids at the school that come from long distance.
Long distance? How does it affect if you want to do an extracurricular activity? Do they run extra buses in the afternoon? I mean, when my children they went to North St. Paul High School, they didn't have extracurricular activity buses. They cut those at the end of the day, and they had to cross, they didn't have to travel as far, but they had to cross a 4-lane highway without any really pedestrian signals or anything to get back and forth. And when it was dark in the morning and dark in the evening, I worried about their safety. So if you want to do anything before or after school, is that kind of...
You can do things after school. We got activity buses. I'll bring the kids to their destinations.
So you're still able to participate?
Yeah.
That's good.
Able to participate in all the after school activities.
Now I want to talk about, you know, the physical structure of the bill, because that was kind of the hearing about how we're failing to have, you know, schools that are adequate to meet your needs, that are safe and, you know, warm. I mean, warm's even part of the school that you go to in the winter. But before we do that, I want to kind of talk about what your typical day in school's like. So what are some of the classes and things that you're taking, and what are some of your hopes and dreams for in the future?
Well, my favorite class right now is early childhood education and development. I think I like to be a kindergarten teacher because I like working with children, and I wouldn't mind working at the Bug-O-Nay-Ge-Shig School either.
You'd like to to stay in your community.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to do that.
Yeah. Technology and like technology assistant, working with the computer guy and all that. That's something I like to do. So yeah, after college and all that, yeah, I would work at the school too.
I like math.
You like math.
Yeah.
Math rules.
I'm taking.
I'm a teacher, but you know, people who do math, they can kind of set their own table for the future.
I'm taking a college math class right now.
So, do you do that on the weekends, or?
No, it's Monday through Thursday.
Okay, so you're in a college prep class, or?
No, the Bug School drives us.
Oh, the Bug School
to
takes you. So where do you go?
To Cass Lake.
So you go over to Cass Lake and take an advanced math class.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. So you are putting in some extra miles besides that 20 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's, and so have you all been through grade school and everything together? Have you gone to school kind of?
No.
No.
Separate.
Leech Lake, where else have you attended school?
I grew up in Minneapolis and I moved here when I was 12. So I've only been here for 5-6 years.
5-6 years?
I've been in and out, but most of the time I've been in the Bug School since the early childhood care program.
I've been to like quite a few different schools, but I've mainly been at Deer River High School and Deer River Elementary, like King School.
So one of the things that when I was at Bug School, which is, you know, kind of the abbreviation for the school, is the immersion in culture and in language, learning traditions and values and, you know, American history in a different way than most people think of American history, because tribal nations, you're the first Americans. So when we were doing the mic check, I was kind of teasing you about, you know, counting to 10 in your native language. What has that been like to, you know, learn more about your heritage and be with your elders and that? Because lots of times when students can find their roots in their communities, they're happier, they're more productive, they do better in school, they're able to better plan. So tell me a little bit about what's so special about going to a tribal school.
You learn more, like way more than you would at tribal school rather than public school. Because before I started Bug School, like I didn't even know half the things that I now learned.
So you have more confidence in learning, and
yeah, I feel better about.
You feel better about yourself?
Yeah.
That's a big deal when you're teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not the most comfortable time of your life. We've all gone through it. We've all so we know it's hard.
It's been a lot easier to learn like the heritage, like the language that we need to learn, keep generations going and all that, so that we can hopefully bring back our language back to the way it was, the full strength of it.
Language is important because, you know, when I travel around the world and I hear people speak in different languages, I'll use the example for snow and all the different words that, you know, we have for snow commonly as Minnesotans, or ice, or, you know, whatever. And, you know, I talk about it to somebody in Africa, they're clueless as to what I'm talking about. But it really describes the conditions I live in and what I've experienced. The language is really important. And you started out in Minneapolis, so you started out in the big, I'm from St. Paul, so I'll call Minneapolis a big city because it does have bigger population. But what kind of transition was that for you?
It was at a really awkward age. I was 12, like I said, and well, really I didn't have a lot of friends here, but I've learned a lot of things about my heritage. Like in a public school, I would have never learned how to make this.
And it is
it's a medicine bag that I made myself in my cultural class.
And that's made out of?
Deerskin.
Deerskin.
Well, cured deer hide that we cured ourselves.
So you did everything?
Yeah.
And what do you put in there then?
Medicine such as sage, cedar, tobacco, or sweetgrass.
And tobacco is?
Asamo.
It is. It's something that's very, very special. It's not used to just, you know, go out and have a cigarette and relax after dinner or something like that. It has meaning.
Those 4 medicines those are the 4 sacred medicines that we use to pray and whatnot. Like sage keeps bad spirits away when you burn it in the air. That's why it's used to bless things a lot. And sweetgrass is supposed to draw good spirits to where you're burning it.
A lot of people. A lot of cultures have traditions like that. I do in my Norwegian heritage, and my Irish heritage has, you know, special symbols in that were passed down by my grandmother that are very important as to who I am as a person. But so you're getting a good education. You're getting up early in the morning. You're studying hard. There's extracurricular activities if you want to go, you know, participate in them. But one of the things I think that's really important, especially to our students, and it was a struggle that I had in our community in getting a new high school built. But in North St. Paul, when we wanted to build a new high school, we went to the voters, and we asked the voters to raise the money for the high school. It was called a bond referendum, and the community voted on it, and we did that. But that's not how it works on a tribal school. It is a government-to-government responsibility. Your elders signed a treaty, and with that treaty came responsibilities for the federal government for the land that was given to the federal government that we would provide for good schools. And I think, you know, anybody, when you walk into, you know, if your room's a mess, you really don't want to have your friends over, you don't feel real good about it, you kind of know you should straighten it up, right? Okay, that's putting it on a real simple level. But when you have a school building that isn't well kept up, and it's not because the elders in the community don't want to keep it up, it's just because it's outlived its usefulness, it kind of makes you feel like maybe the adults outside of your community who have the responsibility for making sure that you have the right structure to attend school in, that maybe we don't care about you. And that was something that was coming across loud and clear in the hearing today. So we're gonna, I'm gonna ask you to describe what the school facilities are where you're at. And, you know, be honest here. You don't have to sugarcoat anything. I've been there, and I think most Americans, if they saw the school, would say that the federal government needs to step up and do the right thing by the students at Leech Lake. So tell me a little bit about the facility.
There's a mouse problem. We have to put buckets of water. I mean,
it's a mouse problem because you're kind of out in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's bats also. We have to put pails to catch the water that leaks through the ceiling. Our floor in the hallway buckles from the cold underneath the building, so it's a big dip in the hallway when you walk. There's wires everywhere where they shouldn't be. Like, water drips by near electrical outlets. I think it's a big safety hazard. And there's mold. We don't have a quality air centralization system. I think it's just hazardous for the staff and students, and it doesn't make anyone want to come and be a success from Bug
And the
School.
reason why it's like that is it's a slab piece of concrete laid down on the dirt. Basically, I think most Minnesotans know what a pole barn is. It's just a metal shell construction. It was never designed to be a school. Our voters wouldn't vote to build a school like that for our students in North St. Paul, yet that's the school that the federal government has given the Leech Lake band for their students to attend. What else would you add about the school? I mean, you're trying to do computer work, and what's the wiring like?
Chaos, really. And also, the building was supposed to be a temporary building for like the main building to be built on. So, as in, about, do you say like as much carpets like that we put down each year? Say 10 or 12 carpets that we put down each year due to all the rain and mold. Sheetrock would be about, say, about a foot. If it was all stacked on.
So the building's not warm, is it?
No.
When I was there, people kind of had overcoats and gloves, and you cold when you're in there?
In some rooms.
In some rooms?
Yeah. Like you go from one room that's like really hot into like the next class and it'd be like freezing. So you'd have to put your jacket and everything on.
Back and forth. Yeah.
It's like not really.
Does it make you mad that you know, that you're working really hard? You want to be, you know, give back to your community and preschool and help the next generation be successful. You're looking at doing all kinds of innovation things. You're studying hard on math so you can, you know, do anything that you pretty much want to from a career, from science to engineering. You know, and maybe you already have a career that you've already picked out, and you show up, you get up, you're on the bus for an hour and a half, and you show up, and your building's leaking. How does that make you feel?
It's like, makes me feel kind of sad, because it feels like nobody wants to be around the school because it's just terrible, and it's not really set out to be a school, and people would want to be around like a nice school that had like a warm building and actually had classrooms that like were built for actual class and everything. It's just, I think it makes me feel sad.
Raymond, how do you feel?
It's sad. It's really sad due to that my mom went there and I'm there.
Your mother went to the temporary school that you're going to.
I was in the early child care program, like I said earlier. I was there for like till she graduated, basically. Now I'm going to be graduating. I'm still in that building.
And you know, everybody kept thinking next year and next year.
We'll be getting a new building soon. Everyone's hoping that.
It makes me disappointed because I'm like a teacher's assistant in a first grade classroom, and it just makes me think that those kids, I don't want them to have to go through the same learning process that we have to, because like the bathroom, if someone like does something in there, everybody knows because you can smell it through the building. It's something you really wouldn't want to send your kids to.
This is embarrassing, personally embarrassing, even sometimes when you're there. It's not very nurturing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I looked at it from a standpoint of having been a high school teacher, you know, outlets to plug things into. You know, if you wanted to bring technology into the classroom, there's limited access to do that. So as a teacher, you're kind of held back for what you can do, but yet you're getting a really good education, which means everybody's having to work twice as hard. But we also know, and I brought it up in the testimony, and it's, you know, it's sad to say, Native American students don't, you know, it takes them longer to graduate even if they do graduate from high school. There's a lot of other social challenges that come up with it, and then we have a building that says, you know, when you show up, we're not respecting you, we're not welcoming you. So do you have friends and peers you kind of support each other about, you know, or your parents, your teachers? Tell me what's made you successful. You've made a decision to be successful in your studies. And there's been some obstacles that have been put up in front of you, but you haven't let them stop you. So what are some things that you would share with, you know, anybody in high school, but especially some of your you know, Native American, you know, folks out in Indian country, young students who are struggling with the decisions about how to empower yourself to be successful?
I would remember that even though we don't have the same opportunities as the surrounding schools, we can still achieve whatever we want. 'Cause that's how I feel about it.
Friends, family, they always help us out. They'll push us forward to get it done. We need our GED most of all, so we can get like go into college and all that.
I think like most kids just like don't even want to finish school.
They don't want to finish.
Yeah, because they're either too cool to go or other things are happening. But I try to talk to, like when somebody's having a problem with something, I'll tell them like, you need to do what you have to do to like get done with school and everything. 'Cause in the long run, you're just not gonna get anywhere without your education.
So you were at the hearing today, and you heard that there's schools like this all across the country. And then there's another formula that we didn't talk about for Indian students, and there's quite a few of them in Minnesota that go to Net Lake and some of the other schools that get it's a formula called Impact Aid, because where there's a tribal area, a city or a municipality can't tax that for money for schools, so the federal government gives that school district where the students go Impact Aid. But that formula is like been frozen and it's insufficient for supporting students. So what did you think about today's hearing? Did you feel hopeful that people care, that we're trying to solve a problem, were you, I mean, be honest, I mean, or were you like, okay, I've heard this all before, this is a broken record, nothing's going to change? What did you think about your trip here to Washington?
I felt that in the hearing, I felt that they did care about our education. They sounded like they cared, but I mean, talking and doing things are totally different things. You can spend all day in a meeting if you want, but doing something is different.
It's like what Nadana said, all the talking and doing is all different. You're gonna do something, it should have been done already. Not talking it over now. The school's been out for 20 years. Mm-hmm. We should have a new building by now.
I felt like they didn't really understand what we were going through. I felt like they needed to be there, to be in the school to understand what we were all going through.
You know, one of the, and I have been to several of the schools, but one thing I was disappointed in, and I'm going to mention it to Chairman Simpson, we had all these young adults. We should have heard from you.
Yeah.
There should have been, I felt kind of in the room that we were talking around you, or talking, through you, or talking about you. You're not invisible. And we should have heard from you. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing the cable show, so that people do hear from you. And you're right. I wish we were moving a lot faster on this. My challenge is there's 300, there's lots of schools that need repair. They're working on the list. We've got to get all that put in order. Then we have to get the money, and then I have to get the votes. I have to get 218 votes in order to pass anything. So I have to get 218 of my closest personal friends from around the country to make this a priority. And it should be a priority. It is in the United States Constitution that we will, recognize sovereignty, that we will respect and honor our treaty obligations, but we still yet, and in 2013, still have a long way to go. So we've got about a few minutes left here, and I'd like to hear, what's on the horizon for you for the rest of the year. What's one goal or one achievement or something you're looking forward to doing the rest of this year?
I want to inspire the first graders I help teach. That's mainly my mission for this year.
Trying to help out with as much of the electronics wiring and all that with the school till whenever we can get a new school.
Well, that's great. You're both giving back. That's wonderful.
Yeah. I want to help the kids that are like not willing to do what they have to do to succeed. I want to help them pass and be better and start college classes more the next semester.
My goal for this year is working with Chairman Cole as one of the co-chairs of the Native American Caucus, and as you can tell, we work together as a team. There weren't Republicans and Democrats, there were Americans on that committee, to live up to our obligations that we have to the sovereign nations in which the United States signed treaties with. And my goal is to help you be as successful as you can, because you're part of my future. You're the future of this country, you're the future of Indian Nation. So I want to thank you for coming to Washington. I want to thank you for sharing your stories. I want to thank you for being awesome, inspiring young adults.
Thank you for watching The People's House with Congresswoman Betty McCollum. Please feel free to contact us at our home office in St. Paul, our Washington, D.C. office, or you can reach us on our website.